You're listening to CherryPickin Entertainment.
Throw me the ball and watch what I do with it.
You are now tuned into the CherryPickin podcast with your host, Andre Cherry.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome into the CherryPickin podcast. I'm your host, Andre Cherry, back for another exciting week of college football. We had the Army-Navy game last weekend, and boy, did anybody see that Navy win coming? I mean, I certainly thought Army was going to blow the brakes off of Navy. Army was a better team all season, but something about those rivalry games, it just equalizes everything. One team may be ranked, another team may be unranked. They may be having a bad season compared to the team that won the American Conference. But Navy controlled the game for the most part. It was a long, drawn-out game. But shout out to Navy, the Navy midshipmen, for getting that victory over Army. I'm sure my brother-in-law, OJ, was excited for that victory. He's in the Navy right now, so my family was definitely excited to see that victory. But hey, what a great way to end the regular season. We are now in bowl season, and we are getting into the playoffs this week. So on this podcast, I will break down the first round of the playoff games. I'll give you my thoughts, my predictions, my analysis for what I think will happen this weekend. But to start this episode off, I did want to talk about the Heisman Trophy winner and his girlfriend. And I want to talk about a new coach in the ACC. So we'll go ahead, we'll get started. So as you all may know, Travis Hunter won the Heisman Trophy. He's the sensational two-way player at Colorado. This guy is quite the athlete on the field. He's a really interesting guy. He won the Heisman Trophy. It was a very, very close race. And that's great because he is a two-way player that has done some incredible things. And now he only joins Charles Woodson as one of two-way players to have won the Heisman Trophy. And I feel like you got to give it to a guy like that is playing both ways at a high level, barely gets off the field. You got to reward a player like that. He's a unicorn. He's a special guy, and he won the Heisman Trophy. But I feel like the biggest thing that I've kind of heard about or seen in social media since Travis Hunter won the Heisman is the fact that his girlfriend didn't stand up, his fiance, Leanna Lenny, didn't stand up during the Heisman Trophy ceremony when they announced that Travis Hunter had won the award. I've seen so many people making a big deal of that. And I'm not here to comment on the relationship or on the state of how the relationship is going. I think these kids are extremely young. I think Travis Hunter is only 21. She may be 21 as well, but they're just young kids. They're having fun, and things are getting kind of blown up because of the fact of who Travis Hunter is and kind of his status in college football and the fact that he's gaining popularity and his name's getting out there. I feel like it's a tough situation to walk into when you're the girlfriend of a player like this on this magnitude. This guy's going to be a superstar in the NFL. At least that's the hope, that his game translates to the NFL. But he's been phenomenal to watch in college football these past few seasons. And I just feel as if, and I don't know them, I don't really know her either. It just feels like people are just coming out and trying to attack this young lady, and it just feels a little unfair. And like I said, they're very young. They're 21 years old. They're just really starting out in life. Now they're going to have to figure out kind of where they go from here in terms of buying a home, which team is he going to go to, and all these big major life decisions. And I just feel like people love to dunk on one another on social media. Again, I don't know anything about them, like the relationship. I don't know anything about her. It just seems unfair, and it just seems like it could get really nasty. I feel for her. I saw something on page 6. My fiance sent me this article about the fact that Travis Hunter's fiance, Leanna, she cried herself to sleep. She got drunk, and because she received harsh online criticism from fans following his Heisman Trophy win, and he said, and I quote, "She's still sleeping. She's slumped." The Colorado's Buffalo star player told viewers during a live Twitch stream on Sunday, you know, when you're hurt, but you just cry yourself to sleep and you just be gone. She drunk like an OD amount tonight for no reason, end quote. I think that's pretty sad. I mean, you don't want to bully people. Like I'm not really down for the bullying and the trolling, but it just feels like this young lady is getting trolled. And I feel for her. You know, it's not a good look for anybody involved. And I just feel like the news about his fiance not standing up during the Heisman Trophy overshadows the fact that he won the Heisman Trophy. This guy's phenomenal. He did something incredible. Very few players play two ways and do it at a high level in Power 5 football, win the Heisman Trophy. Like, that should be the main story here. That story should be, you know, he won over some other well-deserving finalists in the Heisman Trophy race. It was a very close race, but yet and still, I can't tell you the number of times I've seen the clip on Twitter of her not standing up and Deion Sanders giving her a playful nudge to stand up as Travis Hunter is making his way down the line to hug and kiss on his family and friends. So it's unfortunate that we kind of glob on to stuff like that, but it's just been spreading like wildfire, and I can't even imagine the amount of hate and trolling that she's receiving. And again, my heart kind of goes out to them both because they're young kids trying to navigate this crazy world right now, especially the fact that his celebrity status has just gone up exponentially after winning the Heisman Trophy. So I just want to call that out because I felt like that was the biggest news. Not the fact that he won the Heisman Trophy, but the fact that his fiance is getting all this hate. And it's really sad to see. Anytime, anywhere, it's sad to see. It's sad to see in college football right now, but it's just like, man, is this the state of the world that we're living in right now, where we're just going to troll on people and just hate on young girls for no reason? It's unfortunate. Now I want to kind of transition into a lighter topic. Bill Belichick announced that he's going to UNC to be its next head coach. This news shocked everyone. Everyone was shocked by this news. I think I saw a comment from Tom Brady that he was shocked, that he couldn't believe that Bill Belichick is going to be going to college football and be a coach down there. Bill Belichick, he's done great work post NFL. He's been in the roast of Tom Brady. He's a very funny guy. He's been doing a program on, I believe, on the CW, where it's a roundtable of professional football players, or former players, rather. Ryan Clark leads that panel, Chad Ochocinco, and Howie Long's son, Chris Long. It's a fascinating show and program. We watch it every week. We love that program on the CW. So Bill Belichick is getting himself out there. He's actually pretty likable. Like, I didn't like him as the Patriots head coach. I hated them because they were so good. I was tired of seeing the Patriots win every year. Bill Belichick just seemed so lasered in. He was so focused on his goal that it felt like he didn't have a personality. Like, he had to do things his way. It felt like he had a system in place. He didn't want to deviate from it at all. He didn't want to show any emotion at all. And he just felt robotic. But since he's been out of the NFL, I find him very fascinating. I find him very likable. And I actually was rooting for him to coach in the NFL again next season. I was hoping that maybe he'd be the Bears coach. The Chicago Bears could use an overhaul from top to bottom. And maybe he's the type of guy that you want a winner, a proven winner like Bill Belichick, to come in there, clean house, bring his people in, and maybe even give him some control in the front office. I mean, he's that type of guy. He's got the resume, the accolades. Like, he is well deserving of that responsibility. But yet and still, he decided, you know what, I'm going to go to UNC. That's the job I want to do, and that's the job I'm going to do. And I give him, hats off for him doing what he wants to do. I feel like so many of us, we wait till later in life to really tap into what we want to do in life. But he was like, you know what? I'm going to be a college football coach. It's something that I've always wanted to do, but never had the opportunity to do it. The timing's never been right. I've been winning all these championships on the NFL level. And now it's like, you know what? I've got everything cemented in terms of my legacy from an NFL coaching standpoint. Let me do college football. Honestly, from my standpoint, I don't know that I see him as someone who would would enjoy going into high school gyms to recruit young boys into his program, but maybe that's something that he always wanted to do. Like maybe he does want to do that, but from the outside looking in, I just can't see how somebody of his stature is going to be kind of parading himself around high school gymnasiums to recruit adolescent teen boys to his program. Some of the stuff I've seen online is that he's actually been lucking out. Like players have actually sought him out. So they're coming to him. They're giving their interest in making it known that they want to go to UNC to play with Bill Belichick. And that makes sense. I mean, if you have aspirations to go to the NFL, that is the number one coach you want to be around. He knows what it takes. He's been successful. He's like the best coach in all of NFL history. Literally, like when it comes down to the end of the day, he's probably the best coach to ever have coached the game. I think it's quite interesting that he's moving to UNC. And again, I hated him when he was a coach on the Patriots. While I find him very likable, very friendly guy, very affable guy, I'm going to hate him when he goes to UNC as a head coach. I will enjoy nothing more than NC State beating the brakes off of Bill Belichick's UNC Tar Heels year in and year out. Nothing will give me more pleasure. Like I'm just filled with joy by the fact that my NC State Wolfpack have the opportunity to beat his UNC Tar Heels each season. Like nothing will give me more passion and fire in life than seeing that happen. I wish him all the best in life, but I cannot wait for NC State to play his UNC Tar Heels and beat the brakes off of them. That will be quite fun to watch. I am interested though from the fact that UNC actually did this again. You just had Mac Brown. He's an old guy. You had him for a few seasons, and now you're getting Bill Belichick for a few seasons. I mean, I find that fascinating that they want to go in that direction, go old school, as opposed to getting some new blood in there. And I feel like if they can find maybe an up and coming head coach to kind of pump some life into UNC, I feel like that could be a destination program if they can turn it around. Certainly UNC is a basketball school. They will always be a basketball school, but I could see how that Jordan brand could be very appetizing for a young head coach that wants to maybe put some life into the UNC program. So I definitely would be curious to see where UNC goes next year, but then also beyond that. But that's such a huge hire. It shook everything in terms of the magnitude of that hiring and the fact that Bill Belichick wants to coach on the college level. What? And in the ACC? That's crazy. That's big time. But with that, I'm going to take a quick time out. So don't go anywhere. The Cherry Pickin' Podcast will be right back. And on the other side of the break, we'll get into the first round college football playoff games for this weekend. So don't go anywhere. I'll be right back.
Want to know what life is really like after the game is all over? Real athletes are here to share their true stories of adversity and triumph every week on After Orange Slices. Even if you don't like sports, pro athletes, former college stars, celebrities, coaches, public speakers, doctors, and all kinds of experts join the show, and there's a little bit of something for everybody. Join me, Bridget, for a slice of inspiration, plus your everyday sports news sprinkled in. New episodes every Friday at 8 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, available anywhere you get your podcasts.
Basketball is back. And with that comes joy, tension, heartbreak, buzzer beaters, and elation. It's time to be courtside for every one of those moments, no matter where your team is playing. Short Court specializes in making replica and custom basketball courts for your home, office, sports cave to decorate your walls with all those memories. If you have a picture, we can recreate it. Featured in the 2021 UniWatch Holiday Gift Guide, Short Courts are made using real wood. We frame and give them an epoxy finish to protect the new centerpiece of your memorabilia collection. With previous customers including Northern Kentucky University, Southern Utah University, 99 Apparel, The Perimeter Podcast with Adam Morrison, and many more celebrating the careers and retirements of their coaches, it's time you visit shortcourts.com for more info and a gallery of our work, or you can send us an email, info@shortcourts.com. Be sure to find us on social media. Just search for Short Courts. It's time to bring the home court home.
Everybody, welcome back into the show. Now I'm going to just walk you through my 2024-2025 college football playoff bracket. I've got it out right in front of me. I've got it right here, and I'm going to fill it out as we are on this podcast. So here we go. So the college football playoff picture is officially set, and we now know who the participants are for the first round playoff games. We've got number 10 Indiana and number 7 Notre Dame. They will both square off in South Bend, Indiana on Friday night. Indiana was a well-balanced team this season despite not playing any real tough competition this year. IU has the number 2 scoring offense and 6th best scoring defense in all of college football. IU got exposed in its matchup against then number 2 Ohio State, losing that game by a score of 38-15. Now if we look at Notre Dame, the Irish suffered that brutal loss to NIU in week 2, but ever since that time, they've been on a mission to destroy its competition, save for the game against number 15 ranked Louisville, which the Irish won that game by 7 points. I think in this matchup, I really like Notre Dame a lot. I know Indiana is the darling of college football right now, but I am concerned about how Indiana would respond when things aren't going well and they are playing from a hole or from behind. It's real easy to feel good about life when you're blowing out the likes of a Nebraska team by a score of 56-7, but how do you respond when you're down 28-7 to Ohio State? There's a big difference there. Indiana is a great feel-good story, but the Hoosiers are not on the same level nor the same planet as Notre Dame, who has been battle-tested this season and have been in the playoff before. The Irish boast one of the best scoring offenses and defenses in the game. Both rank 3rd in the respective categories. I think the defense and defensive lineman Riley Mills, who has 6.5 sacks this season, will make IU's quarterback Curtis Rourke's night a living hell. I think this game starts off slow before Notre Dame blows the doors off of IU in the second half. So my bracket right now, I am going to write in Notre Dame beating Indiana. Next, we've got number 6 Penn State. They'll host number 11 SMU in State College. Nobody gets rewarded more for doing the least than Penn State, and I know I'm saying that from inside Penn State territory, but it's been said before by others, and I don't mind repeating it. It's crazy that they get beat up on in the Big Ten championship game against Oregon, but still get rewarded with a home playoff game. It's pretty crazy, really. The Big Ten gets so much favoritism, and it's pretty disgusting. And I want to believe in James Franklin. I do, like so bad. But he has consistently showed me that he's not a winner when the stakes are high against teams that are ranked within the top 10. However, with that said, I think Penn State has a great opportunity to beat SMU this weekend at home in State College when the temperature is only expected to reach a high of 26 degrees. Now, I wouldn't expect the weather to derail any team, really, because there are things you can do to get warm. Certainly, you can cover yourself, you can have those heaters, but I think the fact that the cold conditions and the fact that it'll be inside a hostile environment makes conditions right for Penn State to pull out the victory. Even though I think SMU will give Penn State a run for its money, especially if Mustangs running back Brashard Smith can get loose and open up the offense. For this season, Smith has rushed for 1,270 yards with 14 touchdowns on the ground and another 4 scores through the air. SMU quarterback Kevin Jennings has played extremely well also, throwing for 3,050 yards and 22 touchdowns. He and Drew Allar for Penn State will be extremely fun to watch on Saturday. Penn State is favored to win, but I think it will be a close one, and once they beat SMU, Penn State will get another favorable matchup against Boise State. Not to say that it's a guarantee that they'll win that game, but they've got good odds to make it to the college football playoff semifinals, which is outstanding considering that Penn State doesn't beat good teams. And they may have a chance to go to the semifinals somehow. More to come there, and we'll talk about that on the next podcast, certainly. But I'm taking Penn State to beat SMU, so I'm going to write that in right now. The next two matchups in the first round, we've got matchups between Ohio State versus Tennessee and Texas versus Clemson. These will be battles between the Blue Bloods, which is really exciting. So we'll start with number 8, Ohio State, hosting number 9, Tennessee. Ohio State had a good year this season, but if you ask any diehard Ohio State fan if they think it was a good season, they probably wouldn't admit it. The Buckeyes missed out on making it to the conference championship game and also lost to that hated rival up in Ann Arbor, but they still made it to the playoffs. And if OSU can do the unthinkable and win the entire playoff this year, I feel like Ryan Day can exhale a huge sigh of relief. I feel for that guy, I truly do. But when you pull back and look at the whole picture, I do think Ohio State is still in a good position here. Sure, the record says that they're 10-2, but if you really look at it, they went toe-to-toe with Oregon, arguably the best team in college football, and they only lost that game by 1 point. Then the game against Michigan I look at differently since it's a rivalry game. Emotions are high and things don't really make sense when it comes down to the fact that it's a rivalry game, such as the big one between Michigan and Ohio State. So I give OSU a little bit of grace there because I don't think that one game is any indicator of how good or bad Ohio State or Michigan is for that matter. I think OSU certainly boasts the number 1 scoring defense in college football. That's a great thing. I feel like when the time is right, Ohio State will show up and they will ball out. By comparison, I think Tennessee is a good team, but when you pull back, I don't think its wins are as great as some people would want you to believe. Wins against ranked teams, NC State, Oklahoma, Alabama, don't look quite as good as they probably did when those wins occurred. All those teams underperformed to an extent, so I'm talking NC State underperformed, Oklahoma, Alabama certainly underperformed at the end there. So I truly don't see any quality wins on Tennessee's schedule, and I fear the Volunteers will get exposed by Ohio State at home on Saturday. That's my fear. So for that reason, I'm taking the Buckeyes to win big over the Volunteers this weekend in the Horseshoe. So I'm going to write that in right now. Ohio State will move on to the quarterfinals. And then we have number 5 Texas. They'll face off against number 12 Clemson in Austin, Texas. Everything I said about Tennessee previously in that last one against Ohio State, you could probably apply to Texas in this scenario as well. With the Longhorns preparing to face Clemson in Austin on Saturday, Texas had all the hype this season, and granted they won against ranked teams, but when you pull back, those wins against Michigan, Oklahoma, Vandy, Texas A&M, they're nice. But I don't know if I truly know how good Texas is. And the fact that Texas lost to Georgia twice this season makes me really question how strong of a team Texas can be in the playoffs. And frankly, maybe it's telling me more about how good Georgia is. But we'll get to the Bulldogs at a later date and time. Now we'll focus on Clemson a little bit here. Clemson returned to glory this season in the ACC and saw itself atop the conference standings when the dust settled from the season and everything was said and done. Clemson came back. They won the ACC. That's fantastic. The Tigers got blanked pretty good, though, from Georgia in week 1, but they went on a 6-game win streak after that before seeing another loss again. I like Clemson's ability to put up points, but I am not as confident in their defense as some others are. If this matchup against Texas came down to a shootout, I wouldn't trust Clemson's defense to not break under pressure. So I'm picking Texas to win this game and to move on to the quarterfinals against Arizona State. So I'm going to write that in right now that Texas is moving on to the quarterfinals. So if we take a look at it, I'm picking Notre Dame to beat Indiana. I'm taking Penn State to beat SMU. I'm picking Ohio State to beat Tennessee and Texas to beat Clemson. So there we have it, my friends. Those are my predictions for the first round of the college football playoffs that get underway this weekend. Next week, I'll share my thoughts on who will advance on in the playoffs after the first week of action gets underway. Should be exciting to see kind of how everything shapes up after this first initial weekend of the expanded college football playoff, which is wild that we've now got 12 teams in the playoffs. So let's see how this all goes down this season. I'm excited for it. Hope you are too. Thank you for listening to this podcast episode. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you have a nice seat on the couch this weekend for all of the bowl games, but most importantly, all the college football playoff games that will be getting underway here in a few days. Thank you guys again. Hope you have a good one. Take care, everybody. Peace. I will enjoy nothing more than NC State beating the brakes off of Bill Belichick's UNC Tar Heels year in and year out. Thank you again for tuning into my Cherry Pickin' podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, please feel free to subscribe to my show and drop me a rating on Apple Podcasts. All of my digital content can be found at the website CherryPickinSports.com. And if you are looking to interact with me via social media, my Twitter handle is @Cherry_Pickin. That's PICKIN. On my Twitter, you'll also find a link to my blog where I post my weekly college football predictions and analysis. I can also be reached via email at cherrypickinsports@gmail.com. Please feel free to reach out to me regarding what you like about this podcast or about what content you'd like to hear more of on future episodes. I sincerely thank you for your support, and I can't wait to talk to you again soon. Take care.